Hello, this is your audio and visual test assistance for your semester final in Microsoft Word. This assignment is called W5.FINAL, and in it we will assess your abilities to first create a block-style letter complete with letterhead, and number 2, create a promotional flyer for your school's house party. A letter of resignation is generally accepted as the professional method to let your employer know you will be leaving the company. Posing as a student aide of mine, you will first complete a letter of resignation as you prepare to move on to employment after high school graduation. Before you go, however, you will need to create a flyer that lets students know about the next house party for your house. With these two separate tasks in mind, let us begin. So first of all, I'm going to pull our directions up right here. And the first thing we're going to tackle is the letter. You will need a new Word document. You will need to hit Shift-Command-S, and you will need to name it W5.Final Letter - your own last name and first initial. Make sure it's in your BIM Word folder, and then press Save. Then we will go ahead and start in with our directions. So to start with, let's go ahead and begin by setting the top margin at 2 inches. So when we go into Layout, the Layout tab, Margins, we're going to go down to Custom Margins, and the default is 1 inch all the way around. We're going to change the top to 2 inches, and you see it drops down here in the preview. And then we will say OK, and we see it also drops here where we can see it. If you do not have a ruler here, make sure you go to the View tab and click on the ruler box so that way you can see what's going on a little better on your document. Also under the View tab, I typically work with my page width on, so no matter what I do with this window, it will adjust to the width of the page. All right, so moving right along, now that we have our margins set, notice that we are not going to do our 4 lines of information up there as usual. Instead, we're going to go and double click here at the top of the page to get into our header area. You can also go to Insert, Header and Footer, and click on Header to get to the same place. And once we do that, we are first of all going to insert the shape of a lightning bolt. So insert, again, is our key word. We're going to go to Shapes, and we're going to search for our lightning bolt, which happens to be under Basic Shapes, next to the sun that we've already used before, and heart. So we're going to click on lightning bolt, and then we're going to draw a lightning bolt right there in the header. Okay. Now, once we have our shape selected or we click on it, we know that that Shape Format tab appears. And the other part of our instruction says that we need to make the shape color yellow. So right here you can say in Shape Fill, we can go right in here. This is labeled as gold, but we're going to come down here and click on yellow, and you see now the lightning bolt has turned to yellow. And then the line around the outside, its outline, needs to be orange. You can come down here. This is plain orange. It doesn't show up real well. I was just going with this orange accent too, which is a darker orange. And that puts that orange outline around the shape. Now it says resize the image to 1 inch tall. Please notice, if you do not have this ratio box checked and you click on 1, it will squish your lightning bolt, okay? So what you're going to want to do is come up in here and click on that ratio lock, okay? So now when I press 1 inch tall, you see it keeps the ratio and it doesn't squish or adjust, warp that image. I'm going to go ahead and grab that turning dial right up here at the top, and I'm going to make the top of the lightning bolt parallel to the page. So this is a straight line and the top of the page is a straight line, and they're both parallel. Also, if you have that ruler view, again, like I mentioned before, you are able to just kind of eyeball center that lightning bolt under the center tab that's there in the header. So that gives you a good idea of it being in the middle. Yeah, you can probably move it over. I like to use my arrow keys for tiny movements, little increments there, until I get it just where I want. Okay, if you haven't already pressed Command S to save your work so far, please do so. And our next direction, number 5, says while you're still in the header, insert a text box on the left side of the lightning bolt. So once again, our keyword is insert. We will go to the text box, and we're going to draw a text box. I don't really bother with the size of it until I'm done drawing it. So in this case, the text box is going to be 1 inch tall. And you see in this case, I want to be able to move them independently of each other, so I would not click that ratio box. And then the bottom is going to be 2.25 for the width of that text box. All right, so let's go ahead and put the information into that text box. They want us to make sure that it is Arial font and 10 point and left aligned, and it is already left aligned by default. So you will put your name in the box and then your phone number, and then under that you will put in your email address. All right. And then, now many times if you hit a space or enter, it will have a link on it. Please note the next directions on this. You want to italicize that email address. All right, so you're going to do that, or you can hit Command I. The next thing that you want to do is remove the link if it has shown up. And the way you do that is as you have selected it, because if you click on it now, it will actually start a real email to this address. So we want to take that link off, and to do that, we're going to go ahead and go to the Insert tab, Links. Remember, you have to have this highlighted. And when you go to Link, then you just simply say Remove Link, and it goes away. So the next thing they want us to do is to remove the text box border, because if you see, there's a border here, and we don't want that one anymore. So when we click on that text box, the Shape Format tab comes up, and we will want to come up here to the outline, Shape Outline, and just say No Outline. And you see it magically disappears. All right, so we're still in the header now for instruction number 6, and we want to insert a text box on the right side of the lightning bolt now. And we're going to resize it to the same shape. It wants us to have the same text, the same size, just right aligned. Well, a neat little trick, if you remember from our shapes exercises, is if you click on that text box, and on your trackpad, you can either 2-finger tap and drag, and you'll have that, or you can also click on it, hit Command C to copy, come over here and hit Command V to paste, and you will have your other text box with a lot of the work already done for you. But do pay attention, because this one needs to be right aligned. So we will instead send it to this side of the page so it is on that edge there. So the next thing we're going to do is put in your address, and I'm just going to type in the 4 Charger Way for the school. You can put in your own address, and then the city, state, and zip 6059. Okay, and then also you see, because I had gotten this text box exactly the way I wanted, and including taking off the border. This one doesn't have a border, so I don't have to take it off. Okay, so remove the text border again. Use the wrap text feature to place your text boxes exactly where you want them. I'm not sure that I actually did this one. It was already in front of. That's a new thing. It used to be that it was always in line with and you had to wrap the text. Just in case yours isn't wanting to move around or do anything, that's the key to that, but it should already be in front of text or the other things on your page. Okay, so moving on to number 7, it says back in the main body of your letter. So we're going to double click down here. We're going to change the font to Arial and 12 point. So what I do to make sure that I've got everything is I hit Command A so that any spaces or lines that I've put in there will be completely covered. And I'm going to change this to Arial, and it's already at 12 point, so I'm ready to go. Now, using the data provided in the example document, type a properly formatted block style letter to me, the teacher that you've been working for as a student aide. Use May 1, 2020 for the date and type your name in the closing. All right, so when you come down to the very bottom of all your instructions, you will have this data for you to use. So in this case, you would go ahead and put in the date. They wanted us to use May 1, 2020. And then you come down and you would put in my name, because you're writing the letter to me. And the address, 505. I still think it is 404 Charger Way. And room 213. And then Keene, Texas, 76059. Okay. And then as you're writing the letter to me, dear Mrs. Weaver, pay attention to your capitalization and your punctuation. And then you would just go ahead and type this in. Please accept this letter as formal notice that I am resigning teacher's aide. I am graduating, and have no full time with a company in Fort Worth. My last day of working. This is always good to put that in so that they have it in writing of when exactly you're going to be leaving. For you will be Friday, May 15. Okay. Comma, which provides you with 2 weeks. Notice where the apostrophe goes. Notice. Okay. Oops. And then I appreciate. It's always nice to kind of add something there to the end, the opportunity. For you and wish you continued success throughout the years to come. And then you would put a closing note there. And of course, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you would put in your own name at the bottom. All right. Once you have got all that in there, please don't forget to hit Command S to save it. And we leave this space here so that when you print it out, you can sign it. And so once you have that, then you'll come back up here to number 8, and you see that yes, we use May 1, 2020, and you put your name in the closing. Make sure it is your actual name, please. And then to finish the document, we're going to go ahead and run a spell check, review spelling and grammar. Make sure that that is done. And then we're going to save it. And then we're going to close it, and you will be ready to start your next document. So I'm going to go ahead and open the next one before I actually put this one away. Okay, I'll go ahead and close that. And then this next document, we're going to go ahead and part 2, the flyer. Okay, open a new Microsoft document and save it with a file name that denotes the house that you belong to. So if you are in Katakwe, it will be W5.FINAL Katakwe. If you're in Verbin, it will be W5.FINAL Verbin with your last name and first initial, Final Reverentor and Final Appassionato. So I'm in Katakwe, so I'm going to go ahead and hit Shift-Command-S. And I'm going to go ahead and come down here. Let's see, where did I put final? And so instead of letter now, I'm going to say K-O-T-T-A-I-K, K-W-E. Okay. If you're in a different house, then that's where that house would go. Make sure it's in your BIM Word folder and hit save. All right. So we are going to set the margins of the document to narrow. So in layout, margins, instead of going into something special, we're just going to use this one, which makes it 1/2 inch all the way around, narrow. And the next thing we're going to do is set the orientation of the document to landscape, and this is still in the layout tab, and you can just flip it over on its side. I'm going to go back to view and make sure I'm still in page width here so that it will show me the whole page at once. And then I will go ahead and hit Command S to save it so far. And design the page color of your document according to the color of your house. So once again, since I am following off with Katakwe, I will go ahead and go to Design, Page Color, and I'm going to choose a light purple. Now here's the thing, light green, light gray for the black house. Appassionato will do black, okay? There is no light purple, there's only a dark purple. So if I do dark purple, that is very dark. So what I can do is come up here and say more colors. And I can just go ahead and make it really light. I can pull something, I don't really want to go pink, but do a light purple so it's not so overwhelming. There we go. All right, so now the next thing is to design a page border with a 4.5 inch width, okay, according to the color of your house. So here again, if you did the dark purple, then you'll have to do something else. So for me in Katakwe, I'm going to go again into the Design tab, Page Borders. And I'm going to do a box because that's going to put it around the edge. And then it's going to be a 4.5 point width. And the color is going to be purple. I'm just going to use that default purple and say OK. So now I have a page border. I'm going to hit Command S again to save as I go. Now, guess what? Even though it's landscape and we have a border, we can still do headers and footers. So in this case, in the footer, we're going to insert the following tab stops. So let's go ahead and come back. I'm going to go ahead and just come back to the Home tab. So in the footer itself, I mean, you can insert header, footer, footer. I personally just like to double click down here and get in that way, but you do have to make sure you're close to the bottom of the page. All right, so now we're going to put in our tab stops, and you can, we're going to do left, center, and right. You can use, first of all, I'm going to pull the existing tabs out of it. And the first one is a left tab stop, and that goes at 1/2 inch. And then the center would be at 4.75, okay? And then the right aligned would be at 9.5. Okay, so now when I press the tab button on my keyboard, it's going to stop at those places. All right, so you can do it that way, or you can come back in and do it under the Home tab. And you would come into this icon that has to do with line and paragraph spacing, and you would click on that and say line spacing options. And down here under tabs, okay, and that gives us our tab stop dialog box. And at that point, you could just say 0.5, and it needs to be a left, and I'm going to add it. And then the next one is going to be 4.75, and it's supposed to be centered, and I'm going to add it. And then the next one, you see 9.5, 9.5, and it needs to be on the right, and I'm going to add it. So I have those 3 tab stops. Then we're going to say OK. And once again, you can use the example as a guide to type your own data into the footer as shown. So in this case, it's going to be created by, and you would put your own name in there. And then you press tab and it will go to the center. And today's date, so you can hit Shift Control D, okay, for the date. Hit tab again, and this is where you would put in your BIM period number. BIM period number. If you're in number 1 or number 8 or number 6, it doesn't matter. You can put your BIM period number in there. All right, so please notice these directions right here that are highlighted. Footer text for all houses except Appassionato should be black and bold. So I have it as black. I'm going to hit Command A while I'm down here in the footer to make sure it's all bolded. Okay. If you're in Appassionato, remember we said the page is going to be black. You should do white and bold. So you would just come up here and make it white, because on a black page then it would stand out. Okay. Here it doesn't look so good. All right. So that's the difference there if your page color is different. So I'm going to hit Command S to save. I'm going to double click into the main body of the document. And it wants me to type the name of my house by inserting word art in a style of my choice. So once again, insert is our keyword. We're going to go text and select word art. And I can pick any of these that I want. Something that's going to stand out a little better. I guess I will just go ahead and do this. And now I can actually go in and type in my house name. I can hit Command A while I'm inside that shape. And right here, it tells us, type the name of your house, Catacoy House, Verbend, Verventor, or Appassionato, by inserting this word art. And it needs to be all caps. So here's the deal. Command A to select all of it. We're going to go back to our Home tab. And they want us to use the font Bauhaus, which is BAU House 93. Okay, I'll hit enter. And then it needs to be in all caps. So if you didn't type it in all caps, you can, of course, go here to this this icon right here, which is called Change Case. And you can say uppercase, and it will make it that. And then you would type in, I'm going to go ahead and say Kottaik, Quay House. Okay. And what does it say? 72 points. So I'm going to hit Command A again, and I'm going to kick that one up to 72. All right. And guess what? We get to make it purple as well. A little bit of an overkill, but we're going to go ahead and make sure it is the text that we are making purple. Okay, and I'm just going to go in there, make it purple. All right, Catacoy House. So if you are in different color house, you're going to change that color there. All right, I'm going to hit Command S to save, and then next, with the word art still selected, oh dear, okay, we're going to go to the Shape Format tab, which is here, and find the icon Text Effects. So this has to do with the shapes, the shape of the text box itself, and then right here under Word Art Styles, you're going to find how we affect the text. And to do that, Text Effects, then we're going to click on this little drop down, Text Effects, and from that we're going to choose Transform. And then from the Follow Path section, we're going to say Arch Up. So it's this little, it looks like a bridge, arch up. And when you click on that, now it will make your text look in an arch. We can click and drag our word art until it is centered over the top of the document, which it kind of is, but we're going to want to pull it down just a little. Okay. And it's centered over the top of the document. Lastly, use the wrap text feature to put the word art behind text. All right, so I'm actually going to play with this just a little bit and pull it down here. And you see that it curves it. You can get really carried away, of course. But I'm going to go ahead and just kind of pull this out and put it where I want it. And of course you can play with it a little bit. You can really bend it or leave it just a little bit. But because we're going to want to put text boxes and things right here, we do not want this to get in the way anymore. So we're going to two-finger tap or right-click on that shape format, and we're going to say wrap text, and this time we're going to say behind text. So anything we do after that, this won't get in the way of what we're doing. All right, so now let's go back down to number 9, and we're going to type in the text house party again using the font Bauhaus 93. Okay, type in the text house party. So I'm going to go ahead, and when you hit enter, sometimes this drags it down with it. So I'm just going to go ahead and get this down here. We need it to be centered. We need it to be in the Bauhaus again. Okay. And they said 36 inch. So I'm going to take it up to 36. Black and use all caps. Okay. So I'm going to go back to black. And I'm going to use all caps. And I'm going to type in house party. Okay. And I can always back this up a little bit and recenter it. Okay, boy, is that 36 point? I guess it is. Now see, I can still grab this, but when I click on these words, it doesn't get in the way of that. All right, all caps, centered, 36 black. All right, there we go. I'm going to hit Command S to save it so far. And then now we're going to come down here, number 10, we're going to insert our house flag directly below the words house party. So we have the house flag, whichever one you're in. I'm going to go ahead and click on the assignment here in Google Classroom. Under tests, you can see where this is, your instructions, of course. And then depending on what house you're in, you can click on whatever flag you need. Okay, so they're all there for you to use. So, like I said, I'm in Katakwe. I'm going to pull this up. The quickest and fastest way, of course, is to just, once you have this here in Google Classroom, just click and drag it over. And then I'm going to pull this back and send this to the back again. Okay, so here's my flag. And of course, the very first thing we're going to want to do is wrap text and say in front of. Okay, and you see that the word art reappears magically. So with the flag selected, you're going to go to your picture format tab, and you're going to make sure that it is 4.25 inches wide. Okay, make sure also that your ratio box is checked. So when you hit enter, it will be a nice size for your poster, and you're able to move it around because you have text wrapped it. Okay, so we're going to add a border to this. So once again, picture format, and this is our picture border right here. So they say to make it black, paint it black, and then also the weight of it needs to be 3 points so that you can actually see it. Okay, please note, appassionato, use white if you have this here, because black on black will not show up. So use white to set off your flag. All right, so the house flag in all text should be horizontally centered on the page. That just means from side to side, everything looks like it's even from one side to the other. Okay, house party is actually truly centered, so then you just need to eyeball it a little bit to center your flag. Okay, and hit Command S to save it so far. And then under the house flag, type the date, times, and location of the house party. So in this case, I'm going to come down here, just hit enter a few times. And let's see, yes, they want us still in 36 point, which I am. And so we're going to go back to purple, okay, or whatever color that you're using. Make sure that you pay attention to that. And right here, I'm going to go down a little bit. I'm going to say Kataque is going to be in the high school gym. Okay. If you are in Verbin, then it's the junior high gym. If you're in Revengevor, it's the cafetorium. And if you're in Appassionato, it will be in the elementary school gym. So I don't like how I'm kind of running out of space here, so I'm going to go ahead and see if I can back this one up one more time. Can I? Let's see. Yeah, it really doesn't want to. What happens if I do this? There it goes. All right. So I'm just kind of playing around so I can get these things to fit. And you are totally allowed to do that. So now when I come over here and I go in the center, I see I'm still a little tight on space. I may need to pull this down again, do the same thing, back it up a little bit. There we go. And recenter it. I'm just moving things around a little bit so that they will fit, hopefully, a little better. And then I can come down here and have, hopefully, a little bit more room. Okay, so once we do that, we're going to insert a wave shape from the shapes group, stars and banners, and format it as follows. So first of all, let's go ahead and insert the wave shape. So shape. Now stars and banners isn't immediately visible. We have to scroll down, and here it is. And our wave shape is right here. Wave. And so I'm going to go ahead and draw that in. And so once you have that wave shape, we're going to, let's see, it does want us to resize it. So before we flip everything, let's go ahead and do the size of it. The wave, yes. Okay, it needs to be 2 inches high. So once we click on it, we're going to go 2 inches high. Okay, and it's going to be 2.75 inches wide. There we go. And let's see, we're going to make it your house color. So once again, you do shape fill. This is under the shape format tab. Purple. And the border color is going to be black. And then it's also going to be 3-point bold. Okay. So it is important the order that we do these. And Appassionato, use white instead of black for the outline. Once again, it'll show up much better. All right, so once we have that wave shape installed here, then we come down and we will be ready to copy it. So once again, you can hit Command C to copy it and Command V to paste it, or you can just 2-finger tap and drag. And I'm going to put it over here, kind of like where it needs to go. Excuse me. And then we're going to flip it. So still under shape format because we have this selected. We're going to go up to the arrange icon, drop down, select rotate. We're going to flip it horizontally. So when we do that, it will flip over. So now it looks like 2 pages of a book, and we're good to go. So now we're going to arrange the wave shapes on each side of your house flag as shown in the example flyer. All right, so you see, kind of have to turn your head sideways a little bit, how these are looking. I do allow you a little bit of play in these. Excuse me. You know, you can put it in there as you like. You can also, you find out real quick if you truly are in the center or not by how much space you have on either side. I do allow you, if you want, you can use this little handle to spin it if you want. Kind of give it a little different flair. Okay, and that's like the flag is flying. So that's possible. It's something that you can do. Play around with a little bit. The next thing that we need to do, and I didn't come back up to the same place. There it is. All right, we're going to insert a text box over each of these wave shapes. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is come up here and say insert text box. Okay, draw a text box. And I'm just going to draw it any old place because I have work to do on this text box. And first of all, we have to resize it to 1.3 inches high. 1.3, okay. And my ratio box is not checked, so I'm going to go 2.4. Okay. So this is the text box. Now I need to make sure that there is in fact no fill in this text box. So I'll say no fill. So that means I can see through it. And by the same token, I do not want a border because that's not going to look good. Okay, so now I have a text box. Got to be careful not to lose it now because it has no color or border. And the text inside of it is going to be the same Bauhaus. Okay, this time, however, it's going to be dropped back to 20 point, and we're going to make it white. Okay, so now in these, we're going to use the text as shown in the example. So we need to fly back down here, and in this one, right here, it says "Come enjoy." It's not all caps this time. Come enjoy fun games and what else does it say? Activities. Okay, activities. All right, so then you see how it's kind of put over that. So if you opted to tip your flag, you will also have to tip your text a little bit. And to be quite honest, you know, I'm looking for you to put a text box over this. And the size, if it works, you can pull it out a little bit so that it is balanced there over the flag. And then the other one is going to say, don't forget to wear your house shirt. So once again, let's use this little trick where I can click on that text box. I can click and drag, or at least copy and paste. And so now I have all the hard work done. I have the font and the font size and the color and the text box size and all of that already done. So now all I have to do is go in and change the text of the thing. So I can say, oops, I can say, don't forget to wear your house shirt. Okay, and funny how this is W, but is that F capitalized as well? Yes, it is. Okay. So now I'm just going to put that there over the flag. And once I have that done, high school, they wanted us to do a little bit more text than this. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to make sure that this says what it needs to. Hit this and just say Thursday, December 19. And then we're going to put 8:30 to 11 a.m. high school gym. There we go. All right. So once we have all this together, let's come back up here and make sure that we have all of our directions followed now. Ooh, okay, I'm going to get real busy here. All right, so we have both flags. We have the text boxes over the flags. Finished out this information like the instructions and the example showed. And then we'll just proofread it, make sure that we have December. Look at that, caught one right there. Thursday, December 19, high school gym. Okay, so depending on what house you're in, this will either be purple, red, black, or green. And so you need to have all these elements in here, as you can see on your instructions, what the test value is for each one of them. And once you are done, make sure you hit Command S. Make sure you also attach both to your Google Classroom. So you will view that assignment and make sure that you upload both the flag and the letter and turn it in. Thank you for your attention. Good luck, and I will see you in class.